Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my first year of sixth form, how I found that, and some advice for people going into year 12 next year. So I'm going to start by talking about my 3 A-level subjects and what I enjoy about them, and also why I ended up taking them. So my 3 A-levels are English Literature, Spanish and English Language. And I'm going to start with talking about English Lit because that is the one that my opinion of has changed the least. So I really liked English Lit at school. I enjoyed most of the GCSE course, and it was always the obvious thing to take because I've always wanted, like I say always, that I wanted to study English at uni for a few years now, so that was like the obvious thing to do. But there was a time when I was debating between literature and language, and that led to me taking 4 A-levels to start with. Not that you would think that from what this channel is about. And I'll explain more about my mystery 4th A-level after, which if you were at school with me you know what my 4th A-level was. I really enjoyed the texts that I studied this year. So this year, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I studied The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, Cormac McCarthy's The Road, some World War I poetry, and My Boy Jack. And then also we did a close analysis extract for Dystopia, so that was sort of like what we covered in year 1, which is all paper 2 stuff and coursework. And I really enjoyed doing that. I really like the dystopian genre as a unit. I think it's really interesting, and I've enjoyed being able to think about the stuff that I learnt at GCSE for history, because like the stuff that we did about the Cold War and Nazi Germany has been relevant as context, so that was quite nice. And then English language I wasn't as sure about, because I applied to do the 4 that I said about, and I applied to do the 4 because I wasn't sure which English to take, ironically enough. And yet a year on I'm still doing both English but not the other A-level, so that's interesting how that worked out. Because originally I was going to drop whichever one I had done worst in at results day, and I am so glad that I got the same results in both and that I didn't make that decision, because English language at GCSE is quite, I'll say easy, because for some people obviously it's not easy, but it's relatively straightforward. But then compared to what it's like at A-level, there's very little that like is the same about either of them, because like at A-level we've done so much more interesting things. Like we studied linguistic theory, which I found really interesting, and that's definitely influenced what I want to do at university, because I want to apply for literature and language so that I can still have that element to my degree, because I've really found that like engaging and I really enjoyed studying that. And one of the biggest differences that I found with language at GCSE and language at A-level was the weight of creative writing and what you had to do with that. So for my exam board at GCSE, which was AQA, 50% of each paper was written, and for the one paper it was specifically fictional creative writing, so like you could either do like a description of the picture that you got, or you could do like a story opening or something. And that was something I really struggled with at school. I didn't enjoy it at all, but for most people that was like one of the best parts of the course. And probably one of my strongest memories of the first week of year 1 is my language teacher telling our class that the course we were doing is not a creative writing course, which filled me with a lot of relief, because as I discovered at GCSE, creative writing in the sense of stories and description was not my strong point. And there's like, I think there's 2 parts of our course that creative writing can come up. There's an opinion article in the exam, but that always doesn't feel like creative writing, because you read a theory, and article writing I'm okay with, like I can do that. And for our coursework we could choose to do like an article or a story. So one person in my class did dystopian writing. I did a polemic piece. I really enjoyed that part of the course, but I am much more so looking forward to the language investigation that we'll do next year as our second piece of coursework, because whereas in literature we did both pieces of coursework, the content for it this year, we do one piece of coursework in year 1 and one piece of coursework in year 2 for language, and then Spanish just has no coursework because who knows why. I don't actually know why. I really enjoyed English language this year. It was completely different to what I thought it would be. Any preconceptions I had about it were completely wrong, and I think if you enjoy but English language is something that if you enjoyed it at GCSE, even though it's so different, I would say apply for it, and apply for 4 if you've got another 3 that you love, and if you don't like it you can just leave it behind and chalk it up to experience, because even in the first term people who dropped out did learn something, I think, because I definitely did with the subject that I dropped, and the things that, like the skills that I picked up that were transferable, I've used since dropping it, and they've really helped me with my organisational organising my life, and it really proved to me that that subject was not for me. And then onto my 3rd A level, which at times has been something I've struggled with a lot, that honestly I've cried a lot more over Spanish than anything else, because I think because I'm such a perfectionist, I want Spanish to be as good as English, but I'm not as passionate about Spanish as I am for English. I obviously don't have fluency that certain people in my class do because they are actually Spanish, so obviously they are going to be more confident than I am, and I don't feel as confident in the lesson, but it's like, but you're speaking another language, you know, a year ago you could not have done this at all. So really, I think doing languages at A-level is hard, like you have to be committed to it, but it has been rewarding. One of the most memorable moments of year 1 speaking and Spanish in general was my slightly odd realisation of I'm having an actual conversation in Spanish, and this happened in one of our speaking practice sessions where I was communicating with the speaking assistant, who is absolutely lovely and has helped my confidence so much this year, and I was just speaking to her. I wasn't, like, obviously I was thinking about it, what I was saying and stuff, but I wasn't having to do the, okay, what do I want, translate what she's saying into English, think about my response, translate my response into Spanish. Like, it was happening either quickly enough that I could no longer tell, or I was just doing it in Spanish, and that was such a big thing for me because it's not something I've ever experienced before that, and it really helped my confidence a lot with speaking practice, because that's something that at GCSE speaking was my... I also really enjoyed the film that we studied, and it's Pan's Labyrinth, and it's a really good film in general, even if you don't study Spanish, because you can watch it with English subtitles. But I really enjoyed doing the film because it wasn't like literary analysis, but it included like symbolism and themes and motifs and stuff, and it was like, this feels like something I'm comfortable with, whereas some of like the historical stuff, like talking about Franco's dictatorship, that's not necessarily something that I know well enough to feel comfortable with. Whereas when you start saying about symbolism and themes, it's like, this is my comfort zone, this is what I know how to do best. So that was quite nice, and I'm really looking forward to studying the book next year, which I have to read over the summer, and that is how things have gone this year with my subject. And then my mysterious 4th A-level might surprise a lot of people if you don't know me, and if you didn't know me in the first month of my 6th form experience. So my 4th A-level was physics, which links in no way whatsoever to English Lit, English Language, Spanish, but I really enjoyed physics at GCSE, and I did combined science, so my grades in science were 9/8, so that was a lot higher than anyone was really expecting, and I'd applied to take physics anyway because I was like, I enjoy this, I'd like to carry on with it if I can, and that was something that after a month I decided that I couldn't do because the workload for it was hard, and I think that the fact that I'd done combined science at school, whereas most of my class done triple science, and maths and further maths, and that's obviously not the reason that I dropped it, because you can actually do physics without maths, but it made my life a lot harder doing physics on top of the other three, because even though at the start, especially with English literature, our work was reading the book, so 1984 and The Handmaid's Tale, which I had actually done over the summer, so like that wasn't as big an issue, but I was doing about 3 times as much work for physics to do like the bare minimum as I was for my other three together, because my life was consumed with physics, and eventually after a month I decided I didn't want this because I didn't want to do physics at uni. Most places wouldn't take me to do physics at uni because I didn't do maths, so I decided that dropping out was best for me. Some of the things that I gained from doing physics as an A-level for a month were checking my emails daily, because that's not something that either of my English teachers or my Spanish teacher really enforced or even talked about, because if we were emailed something for English or Spanish, we would also get told about it in the lesson, whereas for physics they didn't do that. They would email us homework and not tell us that they'd emailed us. Okay, we're dropping the one that we've got someone in, you know, not one of the English, especially because my original plan had been to drop in English, and in retrospect I'm so glad that I didn't. And despite how sad I felt at the time, dropping physics was the right thing for me, because I love both my English A-levels. Despite the fact that I seem to spend half my life moaning about Spanish, do actually like it, and I got on a lot better with it than I did with physics at A-level, and generally I think I made the right decision for me, but that doesn't mean it would be the right decision for anyone in that situation. On to the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and that is how I've changed in the last year. And one of the most important things was that I made new friends, because out of my 5 classes, 3 of them had no one from my secondary school in. My physics had 1 person and my Spanish had 2 people, so at most I was around 3 people from my secondary school, which was such an adjustment, because at secondary we'd all sort of known each other for 5 years. There was only about 150 of us in our year, so we hadn't had like any particular newcomers in the sense of, it wasn't like I was sat in a sea of new people, whereas in both my English classes, funnily enough, I felt quite isolated to start with. But because I decided that I wanted to make friends at college and I wanted to be supported in that sense through my A-levels, and I am so grateful for the support that I received from my friends at college, and because they've been so supportive with starting a YouTube channel, they've been so enthusiastic about it, and with the little things that I've become more confident with, they've been there watching and supporting me, which is such a lovely thing to have from people. And people in like year 10, 11 now, you don't think things will change, you think your friends will always be the same, but they won't be. People do change, but that's not a bad thing, because that's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, is the fact that I've met new people. And then the other place that I met new people was a Twitter group chat for Unique, which is Oxford Summer School. The Unique group chat have listened to a lot of my worries with the YouTube channel. They've let me test ideas on there. They've supported me as much as my friends from college, and I really think I've made friends for life through that group chat, and I'm definitely the happiest I've ever been. And another reason for that is because of my confidence, and that's not just down to my friends, that's down to my teachers as well, a lot of that, because I pushed myself this year. In English literature I volunteered to read about twice throughout the year, but towards like the end of this last term I volunteered a lot more than I ever had. Like, I wouldn't have volunteered to read at school, that's like so that's like insane sort of measurement of how far I've come with that. And my teachers, because the support that I've received from my teachers this year has been phenomenal. And that's not to say that I wasn't supported at school, because I was so much, because I had amazing teachers at school and they really helped me as well, but in a different way, because at the time I wasn't ready to be able to do the things that I've done this year. And since being here, like, I've been pushed, I've been stretched sometimes to my limits with my confidence. So the support that I've received from my teachers, my friends, my classmates has been amazing, and I'm so glad that things have changed for the best this year. A video on confidence and how I changed my life by becoming more confident, and how the people around me helped me do that. So that's something to look forward to in the summer, if that is something that you need or want to hear, because a year ago I could have heard with hearing about how someone has changed their life like this. So hopefully a video like that will help somebody. And then what I got up to this year, so as I've already just said, I got a place on Unique, which is Oxford Summer School, and the week after next hopefully there will be a vlog up, because I'm planning on vlogging it. I've written articles for my college magazine, and in May I became an editor, and our first issue was released at the end of this year, and I'm really happy with that, how that went. I achieved A grades in my English mocks, which I'm really happy with because I put a lot of effort into them. I started reading out loud in lessons, which I've also already said, but that was such a big thing for me that I think that needed to be said. And overall this year has been one of the best of my life, and hopefully the best of my life so far, because the hope is that more good things are yet to come. And despite what me a year ago thought, change is a good thing, and if I could give me a year ago or anyone going into first year of college some advice, it would be take that leap, because even if it doesn't work out, there will be someone there to support you and to catch you, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. Like, people do support you and people do think you're doing a good thing, even if you don't feel confident in that yourself at the time. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you soon in a new video. Bye guys.